in and we know the truth, that we are powerful creations of the Creator, Father, Mother, God. We are created to have a joyful, love-filled, peace-filled, abundantly blessed, successful life. The truth of our being is that we are perfect already. Everything I need is within me. When our elder brother and teacher said, "Be you perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect," he meant know that you are complete, nothing missing. Everything we need is here right now, right at this very moment. So we breathe in and let go. Let go and let God reveal the truth of our sacredness, of our divinity, of who and what we are. I am a powerful child of my Mother, Father, God, created to have a love-filled, joy-filled, abundantly blessed, and successful life. And so it is. Amen. Amen. Please welcome Catherine.
It's not on any chart.
closed the doors, the teacher was very excited back there, so hear her teaching her wonderful young students over there. How many baby boomers are here today? You consider yourself a baby boomer? So for us, if you're like me, the holidays we celebrated, the top 3 holidays were Christmas, The Wizard of Oz being on TV once a year, and Thanksgiving, right? I mean, anybody remember Wizard of Oz being on once a year? We were crazy. The day that it was on in school, forget about it. They couldn't even teach us. We were so excited the Wizard of Oz was going to be on television. And then when I was 7 or 8, Peter Pan was on TV. Everybody, Mary Martin, anybody remember seeing that on television? Fewer of you. One day when I was a maitre d' in a restaurant between shows, as one of my theater gigs, I was waiting tables and maitre d', and this woman walked up. She had a huge hat on and huge sunglasses. She said, "Table for 2, please." I said, "Oh my God, it's Peter Pan." It was Mary Martin right in front of me. She cracked up. She thought it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. One of the nicest and most charming women I've ever met, by the way. Isn't it wonderful when people that you admire turn out to be really terrific? She really was. She was just a lovely, lovely woman. Well, after seeing Peter Pan, I just had to have everything. I had to get a Peter Pan hat. I played the Peter Pan game with myself for hours a day. I had the book. I said, "Mom, you got to buy me the movie. It's not out." I said, "You've got to get it for me." Everything with Peter Pan, I just had to have. Now, the story itself is extremely simple, as is The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz is a little girl who gets whisked away by a tornado. She ends up in a very weird land, and she finds her way home, and that's the story. Peter Pan is like that. It's about a boy who never grew up, who could fly. He takes 3 children from London to his home, Neverland. They have adventures with pirates and Indians and mermaids, and then they bring them back home. Seems to be a very simple story. I want to get excited about it. But the symbology of the story is really what hits all of us very hard and very deeply. According to Brutal Bettelheim, the author of a really wonderful book about fairy tales called The Uses of Enchantment, fairy tale mythology differs from all other types of mythology by being ultimately optimistic and life-affirming, where other myths by nature tend to be pessimistic. He says, whatever the strange events a fairy tale hero experiences, they do not make him superhuman, as is true for the mythological hero. The fairy tale hero wins out over his problems right here on earth, not by some reward reaped in heaven. The mythological hero is usually a god or a superhuman type removed from the story by us. We just read it and we're observing it. Unlike the fairy tale myth, like Peter Pan or Wizard of Oz or Cinderella, that has human beings involved in extraordinary situations that in their own way are archetypal as in a myth, but we feel more emotionally attached to what's going on in the story. An archetype, by the way, is a person or a thing that represents a higher universal principle within us. For example, the fairies in Peter Pan represent our thought process. What are we thinking? How are we thinking? How are we always going by with all these little thoughts flying around in our heads? Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, called these thought people. Having a little party in our head all the time. It's an ongoing chatter. You know that when you're looking at, say you were watching Jeff Sessions or something this week. It's always ongoing. This dialogue is always going on within us. J.M. Barrie, the author of Peter Pan, wrote, "Neverland fairies could be either good or bad in turn, but never together. Since being so small, they only have room for one kind of thought or feeling at a time." So these little fairies could either be negative or they could be positive, but not at the same time because they were too small to hold much more in their heads. And we're like that. We're very much like that. We hold thoughts of this is good, this is bad. We start arguing in our heads about what is right and what is wrong. And we get ourselves into a tizzy sometimes about trying to figure out how to move forward from that point. In Unity, we have a saying that says, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. What that really means is thoughts and feelings, thought and feeling together equals a demonstration, as Charles Fillmore said. So the thoughts and feelings come together to create a belief, and the belief then that we're holding will then express in our lives. So when we're praying something against our belief and it's not showing up, we wonder. So we have these little thought fairies constantly at battle within us, and we don't know why we can't move forward in life. Or the Bible puts it this way: for as we think in our hearts, so we are. It's what you're combining with your feeling and your thinking that creates the life that we're living today. What we hold to be true, in other words, becomes true every day more and more. That which we hold with our emotions will manifest itself positively or negatively. So, what am I holding about my life? What are you holding today about your life? Do you believe that this country is all of a sudden a dangerous place? Do you think, oh, we're not the same country we used to be? Do I believe that DC is too hard to live here? It's too hard to find a mate here. It's too hard to find money. It's too hard to find the right home here. I can't afford to live here. Let's all affirm that together. No, you don't like that affirmation? I hear that from so many people. It's too hard to live here. Yeah, that's not a good prayer. That really is not the best prayer we can pray. But that's what we're doing. We shared yesterday in the workshop that what we affirm with passion is a prayer. And then we wonder, well, why is my life not better? Why isn't it different? It's because I'm affirming and I'm praying in a different way. The negative fairies have taken over. And they become who I am. That which we believe will be what we're living. Change your mind, change your belief, and your life will change. This is one of the powerful lessons that we have in this wonderful story called Peter Pan. What I've always found so much fun is the story of the flying in the story, which is of course a spiritual quality that we all have. Flying metaphysically simply means to rise above our limited situation or our limited thinking about it. I went to see the revival of the musical a number of years ago with Sandy Dennis. Not Sandy Dennis, oh my God, that would be a really interesting story. If you know Sandy Dennis, she would not be the right Peter Pan. Sandy Duncan. She was so terrific. She gave the story because she only had sight in one eye. She said she kept whacking into the wall because she had limited spatial sense. She said finally they put a mattress up there. She said I could bang into that as much as I wanted to. That was fine. But the night I saw it was fascinating. Right before she was about to fly, little Peter says to Peter, "Can you really fly?" And she says, I will take off and the wind's back and away we go. So she steps forward and she gets caught. The wire is catching her. And she says, hold on. She goes to the wings and they're fixing her back. And she walks forward. She says, okay, do it again. He says, can you really fly? And she goes, and she says, hold on. So she goes back and they try to fix it again. And she says, all right, Michael, hit it. And he says, and by this time the kids are laughing. They think it's hysterical. He says, Peter, can you really fly? And she says, oh, shut up. He said, you paid to see me fly and I'm not going to fly. One more time, Michael, can you really fly? I can really fly. And she took off. I mean, probably the biggest takeoff she'd ever had. She just was in the air in 2 seconds. And the whole place erupted into cheers. Live theater is so exciting because you never know what's going to happen. You absolutely don't know. Maybe she can't fly tonight. But there was a wonderful lesson in this. I was thinking about it. I said, there's a really wonderful life lesson right here. How often do we try to take off and soar and we get snagged? How often do we want to fly and go, oh, I can't, I'm being held back? How we long to let our souls fly and we run into a minor inconvenience at the moment. And we think, oh, it's all done. I can't do anything more. We want to pursue our dreams and other people seem to be holding my wire back. They're not letting me fly. They're tying me down. I wanted to have a career, but my parents said, no, not that one, you have to do this one. I wanted to be a painter, but my mother laughed at me, and so I never picked up a brush again. Or I wanted to have a family and a home, but how can I do that from a wheelchair? How can I do that when I can't even walk? The only time we cannot fly and be free is when we determine that something is holding me back. Sandy Duncan used to say, well, I'm going to keep doing this until I fly. It's going to work. And it sure did. There's nothing holding you back except your own negative thought fairies. There's nothing holding us back but our belief that we cannot move forward. As soon as we make the determination that I can do anything that I desire, you will discover your wings to fly. The lyric in I'm Flying in You Can Fly from the Disney version of the movie is all it takes is faith and trust. And a little bit of what? Oh my God.
Fairy dust.
And a little bit of fairy dust, yeah. Well done, you two. Yeah, and just a little bit of encouragement. We're here to encourage each other. That's why we meet every Sunday. Because by Wednesday, we pretty much have forgotten what I just said on Sunday. What was that he said again? It's something really good, and I can't remember what it is. So that's why we keep coming over and over and over again, to remember this truth. It's like filling a pool drop by drop. We're here to remember, oh, that's right. That's right. I have faith. I did it before, and I can do it again. Or I got through that, and I can sure get through this, no matter what it might be. So what is that switch? What is that magic word? How can we really begin to fly? Peter said, all we have to do is think lovely thoughts. Think lovely thoughts. Peter Pan was a Unity student. It was so cool. So the kids are thinking lovely thoughts like fishing and flowers and sailing, and they keep trying to fly, and it doesn't work. And Michael keeps repeating, candy. Candy. Well, we all know that candy does not let you fly. Candy does the opposite of letting us fly. So Peter's watching the kids and he says, lovelier thoughts, Michael. And Michael thinks for a moment and says, Christmas, and pew, up he goes. Now, this is a wonderful lesson for us. Flying, again, represents rising above our worldly concerns, the limitations. To fly is to rise in consciousness to a higher understanding of the nature of our lives, of our beings as spiritual. We are spiritual beings having a human adventure at the moment. But we were divine before we got here, we're divine now, and we will be divine when we leave here. Metaphysically, Peter Pan is the Christ child that you are. It's the Christ heart and mind within you that knows the truth, that you can fly, that you can do anything. When we think that the divine thoughts are the outer things like fishing and candy and cars and money and right home and so on and so forth, that what we're doing is we're focusing on the outer stuff and thinking this is where my good is, but it's not. The outer stuff is the realization, is the manifestation of having the thought and the knowledge that I am whole, that I am abundantly prospered at all times, that I am loved and loving, that I am a spiritual being, and everything is a result of knowing that truth. The thing itself really is secondary. Having the money is simply a result of knowing that I believe I belong in a universe that is abundantly blessed and blessing me right now. So when Michael says Christmas, spiritually he's calling forth the Christ within as the one and only higher power. The story is so cool, it's right there. Seek the realm of divine ideas, the realm of Christ indwelling, and all things will be added, our elder brother said. Look to God first, and we rise above the limited effects of the world, like fear, lack, limitation, and seeming failure. So when we have a realization of our oneness through the indwelling power of God, then we are free to enter this realm in this story called Neverland. Now, Neverland by its name seems to be negative, but as the song says, it's a place where time is never planned, where one never grows old. So the never is about no limitations. There are no limitations for a child of God when you hold to the truth. When you enter that Neverland, this can never happen because I'm a powerful creation of spirit. Neverland symbolizes the realm of spirit within us. It's not on any chart. You've got to find it with your what? Heart. Yes. So the realm, the kingdom, the queendom, the alldom of God within is here. We live in it, but we also have to deal with the surrounding world. Neverland is a lush tropical paradise surrounded by mermaids. Now, mermaids are fish, and according to the Unity Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, fish are what? What do fish represent, you good Unity students who have been around for a while?
Subconscious.
What was that?
Subconscious.
Divine ideas. It's the divine ideas in the subconscious, absolutely. So when Jesus was on the boat with the fishermen, his disciples, they were fishing and they weren't getting anything in their nets. And Jesus said, cast your net on the right side, on the correct side, on the side where you're going to find the good. So they did, and then they pulled up all the fishes that they could barely pull up. So when we're thinking the right thoughts for us, we're going to be drawing forth all these wonderful ideas of abundance, of success, of career, of making our lives, letting our lives become the lives that we're here to live. This is very exciting stuff that we're looking at here. Plato taught that divine ideas proceed from God mind, that every idea we get is from spirit within. They're all ideas of love and life and power and strength and success and zeal and enthusiasm. When we focus on the realm of God within, these divine ideas will naturally flow forth. We don't have to do anything to have it. We simply have to let go and let them happen and don't argue with them. We tend to want to argue with our good a lot. Spirit says, go here and this is where you're going to find your good. There was a woman in New York, at Unity of New York, and I shared with her, I said, I'm getting a definite sense, it was during counseling, I said, I'm getting a definite sense that where you need to be is Los Angeles. You want to be a sitcom actor. And she said she was fighting that the whole time, and finally she said, one of her little negative fairies said, Paul just wants to get rid of you. I said, I don't really know you that well to want to get rid of you or keep you. I said, it's not about me, it's about you. But that's what the ego does. The ego will keep trying to argue and say, well, this is not going to work because blah, blah, blah. She finally went out there and she's happy. She's happy to be there. She said she resisted her good. She was hearing it herself. But the ego wants to go against what is good for us, what is right for us, what works for us. One of the divine ideas that I had at some point in my life, and I think we all have, is faith. Is trusting that Spirit is at work, even though I don't see it, I can't feel it, I don't know it at this point with my conscious mind. I had trouble with faith, especially with prosperity. Those of us who were brought up by depression-impacted people had a lot of work to do, or still have some work to do, to release that fear. This is not my fear, this is their fear that they wanted to install inside of me. One day I decided, when I was in ministerial school, I decided to check out the law of compensation to see if this stuff was real. And if it was real, great, I could work with it. And if it wasn't, then I don't have to teach it. It's one less thing that I have to deal with. So the law of compensation says the good that we give has to be returned to us, that we have to give good if we want to receive good. Makes perfect sense intellectually, right? But somehow when we say, I only have this much money, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Or if I give this, I thought, I only had this much money. I worked in Silent Unity, which was not the highest paid job in the world at that time. I said, if I give this today, then I'm not going to have any money for the weekend. So of course, the little negative fairies are going, oh my God, you can't do that. We're going to die. We're going to suffer. Oh my God, they're going to find you dead in your room. Which is of course not true, but that's the way little negative fairies are. So I said, all right, I'm going to prove the truth. I'm going to prove whether or not this thing works. And my voice is like, what are you, nuts? No, I said, no, I've got to do this. And if this is true, then I have another thing to talk about on Sunday. And if it doesn't work, here's another thing I get to talk about on Sunday. So it's all good. So I cheerfully and joyfully gave of what I had. I tithed from what I had, and I had very little left. I mean, really very little left over. The next day, I went to my mailbox and there was an envelope, just with my name on it. I opened it up, there were several $100s in cash with one little note that said, God is my source. Now mind you, I didn't tell anybody. I told nobody I was doing this. I didn't want anybody influencing, I'm going to help improve. No, I didn't want any of that. I wanted to prove God wrong, actually. I wanted to prove this didn't work. So I got this money and I got this note and I said, damn it, I have to teach this now. Oh, I was so angry and happy at the same time. Because this stuff works. I could not be in front of you today if I did not test this myself. This works. When we trust Spirit and have faith that God is at work, it will work. Are you willing to take a tiny step forward, size of a mustard seed, to trust God? As the man said to Jesus, I'm willing, help me with my unwillingness. I'm willing to be willing. And Jesus said, that's all we need. Just your willingness to have that much at work is all it takes for Spirit to do the work. So when we do that, we let go and let God work through us. In the midst of all the realm of divine ideas of Spirit, we also live in a world of form and matter. So yeah, we do need the abundance. We do need these things for our lives to work. And these are represented by the pirates and the Indians in the story. The pirates are the negative thoughts and the Indians are the positive thoughts, but positive on the worldly outer level. And of course the head pirate, the head negative guy is Captain Hook. He's our limited ego sense that doesn't believe anything of this is real. The part of us that believes all we need to do is get what we can get and keep fighting. The Indians lived in harmony and peace with Peter and the boys and all the inhabitants of Neverland. And Captain Hook, the king of the ego and fear, kidnaps Tiger Lily, the Indian princess, hoping that Peter, the spirit child, will be betrayed. Now, what does this mean? Do you ever have a wonderful idea for success, only to have your negative thinking talk you out of it? Oh, that'll never happen. Who do you think you are? Where are you going to get the money? Where do you have the time? Mama, all the little thought people start telling you how wrong all of this is. Do you know how many times Edison tried and did not come up with a light bulb that worked? Hundreds of times. Hundreds of times, but he used each one to say, there's something in this that I can use. Hundreds of times, and finally, it worked. I'm sure he had a Captain Hook somewhere nagging him, saying, you're a failure, this is never going to work. And he said, yeah, fine, thank you for sharing. But he kept going. Captain Hook tries to rip that divine idea from our being, but of course it doesn't have the power to do it unless I give my power away. But the ego doesn't have that power. The ego is really neutral, actually. It's just a vehicle that we get around in. When we let the car do the driving, we get into trouble. We're the ones who have to drive the car and tell it where to go. We can believe that we're failures and give up our dreams, but we have to remember we have a dream for a reason, and it was implanted in us by Spirit. It's a spiritual dream. It's a God dream. So my job is to say, all right, I give in. I can't wait to see where God leads me next. This is all Spirit. This is all Spirit-led. And of course, at the end of the story, Peter conquers the negative, Captain Hook, and order and joy are established again in Neverland. But because the children, us, are still tied emotionally to their home, Earth, they leave, they grow up, they have children of their own, and they begin to slowly forget about their adventure. I've always found the end of the story to be rather sad, haven't you? It's like, oh, Wendy, what happened? When Wendy is grown, she wants to go back with Peter to Neverland. And he tells her, you can't come with me because you've gotten old. She's probably like 20. But Wendy's daughter Jane says to her, why can't you fly now, Mother? And she says, because I am grown up, dear. When people grow up, they forget the way. And she said, why do they forget the way, Mother? And she says, because they are no longer happy and innocent. Only the happy and innocent can fly. Or as Jesus taught, unless you become as a child again, you can't access the power of God. Unless you let go and say, wow, let's make this a divine game, it's not going to work. So I invite you to let it all go. Because you don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know the way. How is not up to you. It's not up to me. Play the game of life and have fun with it and see where Spirit leads you today, tomorrow, next week. Like Peter, we can't help but be the joyful, free spirit who can do anything. So I invite you to reclaim that happy, powerful, Peter Pan-like child of God that you are. Take a breath. Close your eyes. Breathe into your heart. I want you to listen to this wonderful poem. This is the truth of what faith is. When you come to the end of all the light you know and you're about to step off into the unknown, know that one of two things will happen. There will be something solid to stand on, or you'll be taught to fly. Breathe into your heart. Let your heart fly. Let your mind go. Breathe in to spirit, light, life. Lift up your heart. Know that with God all things are possible and will happen when you say yes, when you give God permission. So as we go within in preparation of our meditation time, I invite you to sing or simply sit and listen to Lead Me to the Light. Breathe in that light, that love, the peace and joy. These all help to lighten our spirit, our souls, as we continue our journey here on the planet. Am I looking down into the challenges, or am I looking up to the endless possibilities that God has within me? As Scripture says, if God is for me, who can be against me? The opinions and thoughts and comments of other people really are immaterial. They don't matter because they're not you. Even if they're friends or family, they don't really know you. You are a perfect, powerful, beautiful creation of spirit, child of the universe, eternal, perfect, light-filled, at one with God, always. Know that reality. Feel it. Accept it. Affirm it. We forget who we are by seeing us how the world does. The world doesn't know spirit. The world is only trying to get ahead. It's an illusion, not the truth. The truth is we came to prove the truth of God. We came to live the dream we were given. We came to complete the mission. And that is to love, to rejoice, to be this light-filled, love-filled, successful being of God. If there's any place in your body that may be in pain or discomfort, I invite you to breathe that light and that love and that joy into that area. Feel the healing light, the healing love of Spirit, fully at work in every cell, every tissue, every atom of you. We silently affirm, I am healed and whole by the love of God. I am healed and whole by the love of God. Breathe that in. We also know that we live, move, and have our being in divine abundance. It's nothing I need to get. It's something I need to let flow forth. I am abundantly blessed. Breathe that in. I am abundantly blessed. Love, light, peace, joy, contentment. All the good of God right here, right now. For a brief moment, allow Spirit complete control. Allow Spirit to do the work. Let go and let God be God in you now. Take a breath and breathe out. Breathe in one more time. Bring your sense of self back into this time, this place, and this room. And as we do, we sing our way back with the greatest thing in all my life is loving you. The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. I want to love you more. I want to love you more. The greatest thing in all my life is loving you. Who's on for offering? I guess I will. I'm the understudy for offering, I guess. That's right. Well, this is the time we come.